Sales of anti-aging skincare products top $25 billion. In this Manhattan dermatologist's office, lasers are used to treat skin conditions like melasma. The technique, called laser genesis, eliminates the discoloration or dark spots. Even though melasma isn't dangerous, Dr. Rita Linkner says people are still looking to get rid of it. She uses a camera with a special filter to diagnose it.
And that background just coloring of graying is more melasma, which is kind of hormonally related darkening that is also due to sun exposure as well.
The sun is a primary cause of most melasma, but changes in hormones can make it more prominent. Pregnant women often see it, as well as women on birth control, and heat sources like infrared light can also add to it. We sat down with Dr. Linkner to discuss the best ways to protect your skin from the sun. How can you tell if you have skin damage or sun damage, and how do you know if it's dangerous versus not dangerous?
The first thing I always like to know, even when I just walk into the room, is how much cumulative sun exposure does this person have? And you're going to see more of it more prominently and more early on in someone who is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and fairer. Just phenotypically, they're going to have that cumulative sun damage start to peek through sooner. Someone like me that has a little more coloring into my skin, you might see it crop up later in my 30s and 40s. But it's important to really, if you have that propensity for skin cancer in your family, to start those full-body skin cancer checks earlier and earlier. And is sunscreen the single best thing that you can do to prevent this type of damage? Great question. Sunscreen's kind of the nitty-gritty, the must do. And you really want to be at an SPF level that's between a 30 and a 50. When you go above a 50, what happens, oftentimes they become so chalky and you don't have that willingness to put as much on if you just look caked. So I always tell patients 50 is that like really magical number where you want to live with your sunscreen level. And is there any difference between the sprays or the lotions? I'm a mother, I have 2 little kids, and it's really important with the frequency that you're applying sunscreen, especially when kids are so young, because so much of that cumulative sun damage accumulates in the first 18 years of our life. So you do have to be reapplying every 2 hours. I personally will use spray sunscreens on my children on their bodies, not on the face. There are a lot of preservatives and chemicals in the spray that you don't want to be exposing the face itself to. But if you're at the beach, you're at the pool on the weekends, and you're trying to get your 2 kids sunscreened every 2 hours, a spray is a great way to do it. But stick to the cream-based formulations for the face. Oh, I usually just spray it in my hand and rub it on their face, but I won't do that anymore. If you can smell it, then technically there are preservatives in it that you shouldn't be exposing your lungs to, but keep in mind of being downwind and things like that when you're spraying. Right. And is there anything you have to know about brands or anything to look for on the labels? Well, this newest age of sunscreens is adding infrared blockers into it. So to reiterate what infrared heat is it comes off light bulbs, your iPhone, a computer screen. It's that heat energy, like if you're standing next to a stove that feels so nice and warm, or if you walk out on the beach, and that ages the basement membrane of the skin, which is kind of the foundation of our skin, and it lets discoloration and staining coloring sit in the skin and creates melasma, which very commonly you'll see in women on the forehead, on the cheeks. Upper lip is kind of the more evil, insidious area where women just is very daunting in order to treat that area. It looks like you almost have a mustache in certain lighting. So this new age of sunscreens actually is adding in infrared blockers, and it's really cool. They're taking this algae, it's called Thermophilus. It lives in extreme heat temperatures in the ocean, and they're taking extracts of that algae and they're mixing it into the sunscreen itself. So you can use a sunscreen that's going to protect you against infrared heat, and is also anti-aging you in that respect as well.